And welcome to iProtest. This is Donald Jeffries coming to you from just outside the swamp infested Washington, D.C., as we do every Friday at this time. We're going to be discussing the subject that's kind of taken over this podcast for the last 3 weeks, and that is the Tyler Robinson frame up, the Charlie Kirk assassination, and lots of people that are doing good research on it. And it reminds me again of what the JFK assassination was quite a while back. And our guests kind of reflect that. Peter Hyman's an old friend of the show, goes back way back in JFK research, like I do, and well-known photographer. Has a lot of interesting contacts, and he did great work on the Butler assassination. Well, whatever happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, he did a lot of work on that, and we had him on the show at that time. So, Peter, welcome to the show, and tell me what drew your interest about the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Well, it goes back early into my childhood when I was about 8, and my mother sat me down at the kitchen table and looked me in the eye and said, "Peter, never lie. Your eyes will give you away. Some people can get away with it. You never will." So I have formed my life largely around truth, or my perception of what truth is. And I hate being lied to. And even more than being lied to, I hate having people speak with innuendos and trying to lead me to have a conclusion which is based on emotional pressure and propaganda rather than actual provable truth and reality. Um, so just as a brief background, I went to Whittier College. I was a photographer, and I met Robert F. Kennedy Sr. a week before he was killed, photographed him, shook hands, made eye contact, and that was a spot weld. And when he was killed, it became clear to me, having been born at night, but not last night, that two lone assassins and two Kennedy brothers didn't make sense. So I dedicated a huge part of my post-adolescence to studying it. I've met some of the old, great, epic researchers. I had a conversation with Tink Thompson just about an hour and a half ago about the acoustics. I don't think I'm all that great. I'm a good photographer, and I love people, and light and sound are very important to me. So, Don, is this the time to talk about the acoustics?
Yeah, why don't you introduce that? Muppet Master says the sound isn't working. Yeah, go ahead, just briefly, and then we'll go to Allie because I want to get their thoughts on it. But talk about what you're wondering, because no one else has mentioned that in terms of it's kind of in the modern age with cell phones. We wonder why we're not getting more video of any of these events from cell phones. But in terms of, I would think with a crowd like that, somebody would have been filming maybe while he was speaking. So shouldn't the shooting have been captured live? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, quite possibly the Rosetta Stone of the JFK assassination, even more so than the actual Zapruder film, was the accidental recording over the Harley Davidson police microphone, which data led them to be able to recognize echo patterns, mathematically provable echo patterns in Dealey Plaza, which could tell them the origin of supersonic or non-supersonic impulses, etc. And whether or not all of the results of that acoustic research are true and valid, there are some things from Dealey Plaza and Butler and Utah Valley University which could be revealed by analysis. In Dealey Plaza, there was that one crappy Harley Davidson microphone. In both Butler, and I'll shut up about Butler in a second, but in Butler and at UVU, there were hundreds of people with smartphones photographing and videoing, and there were professional video cameras within 10 feet of Charlie Kirk that were recording audio and video. So the fact that I have never heard mention anybody talking about acoustical signals, etc., no verification of how many impulses there were, whether they were supersonic, whether there was overlapping shots, and so on. And sometimes the best propaganda is omission. So I want to know why the potential Rosetta Stone of this case has been pushed to the side or ignored And that's basically it.
Okay, well, we'll stop there. We'll let Allie and Chris, and you guys are incredibly popular, and I see all your fans in the chat room. So good. Thanks everybody for being here. Make sure to like, please subscribe to my channel while you're here. Allie and Chris, tell me first of all, how did you get? We talked a little bit. You were on the show a couple of weeks ago. You kind of came in at the tail end and brought tons of fans with you. How did you get? Were you guys political before? Is this the first time you've gone down these rabbit holes? Were you active in investigating anything else, or is this something that just was a one-off that appealed to you?
First of all, thank you for having me, and nice to meet you, Peter. Pleasure to be here. And this is my partner, Chris. He works in film and TV, so he has a little bit of the audio tech experience. He's done like big events like
All kinds of
all
stuff.
kinds
I've
of stuff.
done some Mr. Beast stuff, Big Brother, So You Think You Can Dance. I've done
Yeah.
all kinds of different stuff. I've got experience in broadcast engineering, audio, video, fiber optics. So I've been trying to analyze the gear surrounding the Charlie Kirk investigation to try to see whether that was potentially used nefariously or if it's just gear that was doing a job.
And that's kind of well, for me, how I start. I'm also a photographer as well. That's how we kind of met. Our same interests, anyways, camera, photography. But for me, I wasn't on social media at all. I was doing other cases behind the scenes because that's what I like to do. I was doing the Amy Bradley, a lot of cold case, conspiracy, and I was helping. I was just researching and helping.
Sure.
I didn't want to be in the spotlight. Didn't want this, what we're doing right now. I didn't. I'm telling you. And all my fans know this because they've been following me when I popped on other live streams with just my emoji. I didn't show my face. So, and contributing immensely, finding all the security, finding information. So that's how I kind of got into this. But I was doing something else before this happened. And I just saw the memorial, and right from there, I saw the event, the videos, the pictures, and I said, no, there is something wrong. And it just went into that deep rabbit hole of, TPUSA, everything together, pastors, everything. And I needed to get to somebody. So I went to a couple of YouTubers, I got on their show, and then everybody's like, you should start your own. And I go, oh, took me a while. I didn't want to. And then we just decided, you know what? We have so much information. Nobody's hearing us, listening to what we have, as in gear, as in the tech table, as that day, how it was so different that we just said, we got to do this. We just have to. This is important to talk about.
Because you get to a point where when you start going down some of these rabbit holes, you find that there's so much information that you can't possibly talk about at all. And it's, you want to, but then you just start sending information to people. It's just like, here's this whole package on this company. Please tell me if there's anything there. Or, here's a deep dive on these individuals. There's something suspicious there. Can you please confirm? So,
and then you don't hear back. And then you're like, okay, well, this is important. We got to talk about it, right? So then I just decided to go on X, and then I just blew up on X. I just started posting stuff, and that's how it started. I posted stuff on X, and I wasn't on YouTube, and then I made YouTube, and and all the researchers that I've connected with, like Muppet, that's here today, we all work together. It's around the world collaboration. This case, I've never seen anything like it. Peter, I don't know. Obviously, you've been in this longer than all of us. I don't know if you've ever seen anything to this catapult like this.
To this extent.
Yeah, I have never seen it in my life.
You're absolutely correct. The number and different sorts of people who are interested and quote unquote active is amazing. The question is, how much influence does all this mental energy and determination actually mean? Sincerity is not a measure of effectiveness, and commitment is not a measure of achievement. So what we need to do, and what I've seen for years, is collections of people getting together and nodding their heads and feeling all agreeable, but then going out and actually doing nothing that can be measurably different towards reaching their goal. And to some extent, I'm here to vent and share and try to discover some way where people will join us in being more interested in the real truth and not what is comfortably convenient.
Absolutely. Well, and we have another, the Muppet Masher is here from the land down under, from the
Hey, g'day,
place
Don.
where he's
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, hanging from his feet in Australia. So hopefully it's okay down there. But thanks for calling. I know it's not the best hour there, so I appreciate you coming on. So
I've
I
had
don't know if
tech
you
problems.
yeah, well, it's usually I have tech problems, so that's fine. It fits right in. But it's I don't know if you heard the discussion or not so far. Peter is asking about the acoustics evidence. So talk about how you got started into this particular case. Were you working on other things? Were you down other rabbit holes like some of us are, or did this case particularly interest you?
I was posting a lot about Gaza, and what seemed like a genocide happening over there. And then it all happened with Charlie, and then I'm under the suspicion that Israel played a big part in Charlie's death. So it kind of just transformed and morphed into the Charlie Kirk murder investigation. And then they said he was shot with a 30-06. And I'm like, no, he wasn't. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Well, did you now? What do you? Now we'll ask. We'll get more from Allie about that too. But what are your thoughts? Because Peter's brought up a good point that I haven't heard mentioned elsewhere. Is that because this was a shooting, unlike as you said in the acoustics evidence, which I've always been dubious about, and the H.P. McLean, the officer that. But regardless, that was seemingly a great piece of evidence because it recorded a number of sounds, and 4 he claimed, so that proved there were more than 3. But in this case, in the modern age, I mean, every cell phone is going to record a sound, I would think, something like gunfire. So we should have an idea. Do we know, has anybody talked about, hey, there were 3 shots, or there wasn't any shot at all, because a lot of people think this was an exploding microphone or it didn't happen or whatever.
Yeah, there has been audio analysis done on sound, and they can isolate what seems to be a gunshot, seems to be a supersonic crack, but there's speculation whether that was actually came out of the speakers and was played as an audio track through the speakers, or they either fired somewhere else or fired a blank, or there's a few possibilities there. But to be honest, I don't trust the audio. I don't think I've seen a proper sample of the audio. And in that bowl-shaped amphitheater, I think the echoes would really confuse an audio sample.
I just want to touch a little bit on the audio as well. The main problem with doing the audio analysis in this specific case is the people that are running the analysis are not audio experts. They tried to pick it up. They're using AI to help them. And along with that, not having years of experience being an audio tech, there's the actual venue itself. Being that it's an amphitheater, and this is what's causing the problems, is echo. Because you're in a bowl, you have people who are not used to doing audio analysis now trying to pick through probably thousands of echoes. So basically, audio analysis has been done, but due to the level of experience people have, there's actually 3 different locations. So we got one where the only person who's actually got any audio experience says that it was shot from behind. The other people who have done audio analysis, like John Bray and Jordan Henshaw, do not have any audio analysis experience. I'm not saying that they're not smart and their work's not right, but I have a feeling that they might be potentially grabbing some echoes and thinking that that was the shot. I would preferably like to see more people with a couple decades of audio experience run this analysis. That's just my opinion on that. And as it comes to a gunshot being played through the speakers with the gear that they have, I know this is one creator on X's theory. He's sort of the only one who has that. But the equipment they had there could not reproduce a gunshot accurately. Like if you wanted it to sound real and have people believe that it was real, the equipment that they had there could not have reproduced that. It could have reproduced it, but it would have sounded horrible. it would not have been realistic. So, where how do you then explain that? Was it done so bad? Then why would anybody yell or duck? Right? People yelled and ducked and were everything right away. If it was done realistically at a sound level that is realistic to a gunshot, first of all, it would have messed everybody up. Coming from the speakers, nobody at the back would have heard it. And everybody at the front
Yes.
would have had it so loud, because if you look at what the decibel level that a 30-06 puts out, it would have blown people's ears out, especially children. Like if you had a 7-year-old there, their eardrums might have been popped and they would have been bleeding. Plus, you would have heard people running out complaining about their ears ringing, how loud the shot was from the first 3 rows of the tent, which never happened.
So that's interesting you say that because people up on the balcony said, it sounded like a 30-06, and then people right up front said it sounded like a firecracker.
Yes, which kind of makes us think that the shot did come from back somewhere.
Like shot off in the sky or something?
Well, wherever, but it's just that the actual shooter or the person who pressed the trigger was definitely behind the mass amount of audience. Otherwise, people would have reported hearing something different, right? And I would love to see, like I mentioned, people who are more competent in audio analysis running audio analysis. Like I'd love to see an audio engineer from NBC or something like that decide to come up and run an analysis.
They're not going to do it.
Well, that's what I mean. But like that's the type of expertise that we need here in order to really start vetting the audio analysis. And I know there's multiple different kinds of audio analysis going on. So I know most people are just using the left, right, and they're trying to use that as the analysis. But I know there is one team of people that are using spatial audio for analysis as well, and that gives different results. So like the spatial audio analysis is showing that the shot came from within the bowl and potentially with a smaller caliber weapon. The other locations are supersonic, high-powered from a distance. So that's a drastic change from audio analysis. You got one on the low-C center, you got one behind, you got one right in front. And then a separate individual that I've talked to actually recorded, because in John Bray's theory, he's saying that he registers 2 bangs, right? Well, I have another person who works in the music business who ran an analysis who says he hears 3. So that throws that out the window. So like when it comes to audio analysis, it's a little all over the place.
Well, I guess it's a lot like because Peter, this reminds, when we hear echoes in Dealey Plaza. I mean, a lot of that was the way they explained how most of the witnesses, the vast majority, thought the shots came from the front. Well, it was an echo, the echo effect, and firecrackers. A lot of witnesses said it sounded like firecrackers too. What do you think of that, Peter?
Or a slingshot. They said sling, like a.
Oh, do they?
Slingshot.
Okay. Well, first of all, they had to establish triangulation in Dealey Plaza after the fact by putting microphones in various different locations. Considering the number of people who undoubtedly were using smartphones, if not video cameras, in the area at UVU, the triangulation can be easily figured out by the volume and timing of the initial impulse. And then the echoes are just mathematical calculations based on the geometry of the place. So echoes, those are our friends in this case because the frequency and cadence of the echoes will be different according to different locations. I got to be careful because I'm getting into technical sounding words that make it sound like I'm competent. But the truth is, we have mathematically and audibly detectable signals, and we know the distances and the surfaces. We know the humidity and the temperature of the air, etc. We can get some very fine analysis done, which will determine how many impulses there were, where they originated from, and if we're lucky, it could get down to how long was the barrel of the rifle, what was the velocity of the projectile. All of that is theoretically possible. The question is, who's going to invest the time and technology to do it? And cui bono, who benefits from doing that?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well said, Peter.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Muppet, in terms of how is it? Do people in Australia talk much about the Charlie Kirk case? Is it as important to them, or you said you got to it basically by questioning Zionism and the genocide in Gaza and everything. How do
Yeah.
Australians generally feel about that? Do they talk about that much, and they're associating that with Charlie Kirk?
No, we're pretty restricted here. They introduced
Right,
new anti-Semitism laws last year, or the year before, and you have to be very careful. Like, they'll literally come and knock on your door if you say the wrong thing online. So, yeah, it's not as big as it should be in Australia. There's a small group of us that have taken a strong interest, and we're pretty committed to kind of get to the truth. So, but no, it's not. It's not a very widely discussed topic. So.
Well, I understand that. That's and it. Well, I mean, let's get to it. I mean, obviously, Israel and Zionism, they're kind of the CIA in this case. I think kind of the chief suspect, as far as the JFK assassination was, where people kind of looked at them first. Allie and Chris, was there? How did you feel about what was going on in the Middle East, and did that impact you at all in terms of being interested more in this case?
For me, absolutely.
Yes, same.
We were. It's funny because we were watching Charlie before this happened, right?
Yeah.
So like we were watching his stuff, and the stuff overseas erupted, and we were following that sort of intently, and then all of this went down with Charlie, and it was shocking, but it kind of, for us, sort of similar to what happened with Muppet. We were sort of following that. We were familiar with Charlie a little bit, and then
We were watching one of his events. Like, I don't agree with everything Charlie ever said, right? And leading up to what happened to him, we were watching everything. So
yeah, we were
when that
watching one of his
UK.
debates the night before. We were watching his debate in Cambridge the night before.
and like the whole thing, we would watch the whole entire thing, like the 3-hour thing. And I guess that's why, like, I'm invested in this. It's just like I feel like everybody has a little bit of Charlie in them. And I don't know if you watched the Candace Owens show last night. She released the text messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
more
saw
text
that,
messages.
right?
Yeah.
And that just, I don't know, that just changed.
Well, she's
even
done
more.
great. She's kind of the Mark Lane of this in terms of the JFK. That she's been in the forefront of this, and I watch her all the time. Baron Coleman, somebody in the chat was mentioned. She's kind of made a star out of Baron Coleman as well. There's just so many people. I mean, those are the big names, and there's you guys and a bunch of others. So you mentioned John Bray, and I had I forget who else I had. Obviously Steve Cameron, and you got Muppet Masters. And a lot of people. It's very similar to what we saw after the JFK assassination, with a lot of people coming and doing the research that the FBI obviously is not going to do, or law enforcement, because they've already got their ridiculous cover story. But what do you guys make, any of you, of I think that I don't know who killed Charlie Kirk. I just it looks pretty obvious it wasn't Tyler Robinson, but in terms of the way Zionism is connected to this event, because the people that are I've never seen such hostility towards people questioning something, as they are so bent out of shape, and they're all diehard Zionists that are doing that. I think they're just terrified that somebody's going to say Israel did it. But I mean, I guess they're willing to just, execute, because they want to execute him, an innocent guy, over this. And again, it's hard to prove, what the Zionist connection was, but the Zionists the opposition to this is almost exclusively Zionist. And, they're just, it had to be Tyler Robinson. The evidence is overwhelming. And what does anybody think of that?
Well, when you look at his last 2 months, you go to the timeline, you go to July 11th, right? Because I have good memory like Charlie. July 11th, Tucker did the event at TPUSA, and Charlie told him to go max on that. And he talked about, I don't know if I can say it on here, the island, talked about that.
Sure, of course you can say. The only thing we can't mention too much, and I think they're loosening up over that, is the virus that shall not be mentioned. I got my channel yanked many times over that, but lately I think thank you, YouTube. Maybe we've got some poor blonde-haired woman that was convicted of saying a bad word in a park. I don't know. So free speech is really on the ropes here.
I'm gonna be careful what I'm saying, but the island, man. So Tucker went max on that, and that's when Trump called Charlie regarding that, was really, really pissed off. And then if you go fast forward again, he went to see Tucker with Erica. He went in Maine. Was it Maine? They went to go see Tucker for dinner, and Tucker was just like, Erica is so against the pro overseas.
Yeah, yeah,
She's
isn't
so
that something?
against
Yeah.
it, and she's
Yeah.
like, I love this woman. And that's when Candace Owens said that, right? So I'm just looking at the timeline, and then obviously the Hamptons, and then obviously he was on Megyn Kelly, and I could see he was feared for his life. I was watching this in real time, and I'm watching events that he was doing with my partner, and I couldn't believe then that day happened. And there's even a guy that I'm going to have on tonight. His name is Tommy Boren. He had a tweet that he messaged, that he tweeted with Harrison Smith, I believe it was.
He replied to a
Yeah.
Harrison Smith comment on X
Sure.
and basically stated exactly how it was going to happen. Exactly to the T of what happened. It's the weirdest sort of
Is
prediction.
that the guy that told Harrison? Some source told Harrison Smith that what was it, that Charlie was he was scared because he'd been threatened about Israel or something. Is that
That
the
was
same guy?
a different person, but Tommy Borum responded to that tweet and said, "This is how it's going to happen."
He
And
goes,
then literally it happened exactly the way he said. And it was in
Yeah.
August. Yeah, you should have him on your show. He's really
yeah,
great.
he
Yeah.
actually said that it was going to be Zionism induced, and the person who was going to do it was going to be radicalized from the left and was going to do it. And like he broke it down months before it happened.
Yeah.
So that's what was really messed up, because Harrison Smith stated, yeah, it's going to happen like this, and so this is who's going to do it. And then he replied with even a further breakdown, which was just bizarre. I do want to just zip back to what you were talking about how much do you think Zionism is involved in this? And I have to say that if you don't think it's involved, you're absolutely crazy, and you don't know anything about the case or anything about the facts. And that's just my opinion, because when you look who the major donors are to TPUSA, they come from one place in the world.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
high-end donors come from one place. So if you don't think that they have invested interest in Turning Point via hundreds of millions of dollars, and they are not going to protect their cash cow when only one man starts speaking against it, I think you really got to start reevaluating the facts.
And the major one pulled out was the Robert Schulman, I think it was.
Yeah.
He pulled out because of the Tucker event and the Candace. So he pulled out because of those two.
Yeah, and that was a $2 million donation right there. And there's a lot of other donators that are pulling out.
I think the evidence is overwhelming that again, the side that is trying to desperately push Tyler Robinson acted alone are all Zionist, and TPUSA seems to have really become way more hardcore since Charlie Kirk apparently was, changing his views on early. So what are your thoughts on that, Peter?
First of all, I very much do not like generalities, because they become overpowering, and they become absolute. I know JFK and Ben Gurion were having furious fights over the Damona reactor,
Right.
and IPAC, and there was the Liberty vessel that was attacked, a U.S. vessel that was attacked by Israeli Air Force. There's been a lot of very crazy stuff that's gone on out of the Middle East, and calling that one country the only democracy in the Middle East is a bit of a joke. But of course, the word democracy is a bit of a joke in and of itself. So,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say a joke, but it's been given such a broad definition that, I mean, even communism, socialism, and fascism are poorly defined. Anyway, to get back to the answer to your question, I'm very concerned that there definitely could have been some influence from the Middle East. The technology is certain there. The exploding pagers that happened simultaneously, like magic, reveal that there's technology there.
Yeah.
And what scares me the most is the number of people that are calling for, asking, should Tyler Robinson be executed, even before a trial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This damn skimpy evidence that I've seen, the contradictions, the omissions, make me feel like this is just a circus, and the average mook on the street is looking for the convenient comfort of a simple answer from their smart device, and then they can move on to another in the long line of this isn't it events in their lives. I'm sorry if I'm being more general than you like, but I think deep and broad and a lot. And I know that there are very few simple answers to complex questions.
No, you're right, Peter. And you know, I was a card carrying member of the ACLU when I was a teenager, and I was, as a leftist, I was taught, you know, generalities are wrong, and we do tend to generalize now. But I think in terms of what we're seeing with Zionists and everything, it's because there's this iron curtain that comes down when you're trying to discuss things.
Yeah.
You say, don't you dare say Jews run the world. And then you want to pass a law saying you can't say it. So, I mean, are you saying you do run the world? I mean, what kind of a reaction is that? If you want people not to think that, then let's have open dialogue. Let's discuss it.
Yeah.
But, and this is, and all that leads to that. And so something like this, when you can see, and, you know, Ben Shapiro, I mean, this is a guy who all the evidence indicates that, I mean, maybe that they didn't hate each other, Charlie, but he himself has said they weren't friends. But as soon as Charlie Kirk is dead, didn't he rush in with $1 million donation? And then Erica Kirk has him as the first speaker
Yes.
at the next TPU. I mean, it doesn't, would Charlie Kirk have wanted that?
No.
I mean, it just
Sure.
looks like everything they're doing is going against the way Charlie Kirk was going. Muppet, I don't want to leave you out. What are your thoughts on that, Muppet?
I've got a lot of thoughts on the Zionists, and because that's been my focus, and I highly suspect that they're involved with Charlie's murder. I've been like looking at individuals, people like Victor Marx, people like Johnny Moore, Andrew Colvett, Brad Pascali, and the whole Salem media thing where the Charlie Kirk show's put out. Like Brad Pascali runs Clock Tower, and they had to actually register as foreign agents. So,
And now
and he's the
Waterstone is bought out Salem Media, which me and
Yeah.
Martha, we did a live on that, and the CEO
which
of
is Ken Harrison.
Waterstone is Ken, and he's best buddies with Victor. So
Yeah.
all
And
connected.
Victor Marx is a very interesting character.
Yeah,
He's
he is.
involved with so many people that were there on the day. And Victor's got a very shady history. But he got into Gaza 3 days after October 7th. And he actually had guided tours with the Brigadier General from the IDF through the kibbutzes that were burnt out. And then got onto IDF bases and had talks with IDF soldiers. So who did that? Like, you can't do that unless you're very well connected with the Israeli intelligence.
Yeah. And again, Candace Owens did. I mean, again, I don't think Candace Owens is perfect. And, you know, I had Dana Duda, who's Rotting Jewels on YouTube, who does some interesting research. And she's really gone after Candace Owens and showed that her past is a little shady, too. So I don't know about that, but it seems like there's something there. But based on this, and I didn't like her Hunter Biden interview. I don't know what that was about. That was a little too ridiculous. But, you know, she did great.
People call Candace the bus driver, but I call her the pilot of the mystery flight. Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying her. She's got the biggest platform, and she's Victor Marx. She interviewed him. She brought it, and I think we need to talk about Erica Kirk because she's tied into this as well. And Candace did such a job on her background where, I mean, I think they've convinced almost all of us that I don't know what she was, but I mean, you know, she was a realtor for, and I'm a realtor, and I never worked for a Rothschild. She worked for the same Rothschilds that financed Epstein. She seems to have like 5 degrees of separation from Epstein. She did a CIA training video years ago where she's one of the people talking on it. This is not to mention she lied and said I didn't date for 5 years. I was a virgin when I got married. And she's all over reality TV, just clearly not a virgin. You know, I don't know how you look at it. So she misrepresented herself. And if she was really anti-Israel before, then she's changed on that too. But I don't know what anybody's thoughts on there. But to me, it's and the fact she's claiming that she has a right to a speedy trial. Defendant has a right to speedy. How does she have a right to a speedy trial? And she for
Well,
giving
that's the
Tyler
law in
Robinson.
Utah. That's
yeah,
the law in Utah.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
a
that's
perfect
that's
place to do it, right? It's a
that's
perfect place to do it.
crazy.
And remember, I want everybody to remember, this is like everybody sends tips, and so do I. We send tips to Candace Owens and to Barron. Like my first show, I was on the Barron show with the electrocution theory. I actually was electrocuted. So the first thought in my mind is, like, when he went like that, I felt like there was some kind of electrocution going on. So many people don't know. I did a lot of research on it, and I sent it to him, and then I came on his show. And all of us, Muppet, everybody on X, we all send tips to Candace. And, this is where the collaboration of the whole world comes in play, because she has shouted a lot of people out. She shouted Muppet out, she shouted me
cool.
out. So all of us are helping the bus driver. We are helping her. And they have done, like, M and Mia, like a lot of people have done research on Erica's past. The whole tree from the Solomons, right, Muppet? We've done that. And it's important because coming back to where she's from, where Erica's from, is important. The Looking Glass School. It goes all the way back to that.
Muppet, you sound like you're trying to say something.
Go ahead, Muppet.
No, I'm right. I was just laughing, actually.
It was Peter. I know somebody. Peter, go ahead. What you have to say?
I got two quick things. Number one, I belabor under the assumption or the suspicion that Charlie Kirk may not, in fact, be dead.
There's some people
just as I believe Epstein is not dead. So the fact that we see the T-shirt jump and then suddenly there's blood gushing out of his neck, supposedly, it's all very suspicious.
I believe that's doctored footage. I've already did an analysis with John Bray, and I pointed out there was a line on his neck, and he said that's not blood. He goes, I have no idea what that is. My analysis says it's not blood. So we might be looking allegedly at a video that's put out as doctored, because I don't. What shirt ever does that?
Exactly.
Even if there was an explosion, I don't see a shirt doing that.
Okay, and then word is out, and again, I'm not the expert on it, that nobody that I've talked to ever saw any blood on any of the people that tended to him. No blood on the pavement. It's sort of like no blood in the garage of when Oswald was shot. Okay. The other thing that came to mind was like, pardon me, but it was like a fart in a diving bell, and that was immediately after the Charlie Kirk event. The prime minister of that 5-star state came on television and said, we didn't kill Charlie Kirk. And that's sort of like somebody getting stopped for speeding and telling the officer, I don't know anything about the robbery at the convenience store down the street.
Exactly.
And it's little pieces that leak out like that people tend to ignore when something shinier comes up or is thrown in front of their faces. But I look at things globally, and on the aggregate, there was a well-produced event there, and I want to know more, and I want to know what's really true.
Exactly. I do want to touch on one thing, just how we were talking a little bit a while ago, just the amount of scrutiny Candace gets put under. And I think a lot of people forget the fact that when a police officer, an FBI or CIA agent is doing an investigation, there isn't, I don't know, 5 billion eyes on every move they do. And I think it's really easy to criticize somebody when every single thing they do is public, where that doesn't happen in normal law enforcement. A police officer can make 1,000 mistakes about what he thought happened, and no one will ever know about it. They'll only know the one thing he suspected, which was right, which led to a conviction. You won't go to a trial and then hear FBI agent go, okay, so I'm going to start off on the 400 things that we looked into that were absolutely wrong. It doesn't happen that way. So I think people got to give Candace a little a little bit of a grain of salt here with what she says, because she's doing something public, and it takes a lot of courage to do that.
While she's
Yeah.
getting sued.
While she's getting
in
sued,
every corner.
Yeah.
she's getting
Um,
death threats.
yeah.
She's been doxxed literally
too.
by
Yeah, I got it. I got
So
threats
I
and
think
I've been doxxed.
I think that needs to be taken into consideration, because people throw a lot of shade her way just because she isn't perfect all the time. If she was
Right.
perfect all the time, I wouldn't trust her, because that
Yeah.
means she's not human. She's a bot. She's following a script, because the script is never wrong and she never wavers from it.
And she wasn't there. So you have these pastors like Frank Turek saying, she changes her story all the time. No, the people that in the SUV are changing their story all the time. She wasn't there. She's allowed, in my opinion, to change like we are. We get new information.
Sure.
I'm going to change it like what Peter said. I am. Before I thought completely he passed away, but now I'm like 50-50. I'm like, I don't know. He could be alive. He could be not. At first I thought, nope, they took him out. He was in the SUV and
Well,
they shipped him to overseas. Like that's what I thought, because the body was fake in the coffin. She's mic'd with a mic. There's a camera. It was all like her hands don't even
absolutely
look.
ridiculous.
My man is 6 foot. Stand up, babe. My man is 6'6". I am 5'2". Okay. All right. I'm just going to show you this. My hand compared to his in a coffin. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's 6'6". It isn't possible. And I went on a live stream about that. I'm like, that's not Charlie Kirk's hand. Charlie Kirk's hand's bigger than Chris's hand. So that's just everything looked staged from the beginning. And that's when I got into this whole thing.
Well, I think and I remember when I visiting a relative in the hospital when it came on. I followed the coverage that he had been shot, and I knew who Charlie Kirk was, but to me he was one of a bunch of right wing influencers. I didn't consider him anything really that special. I never had thought much about Turning Point USA. I had watched some of the college things where he engaged with the leftist students, and there was always interesting because they're flying back and forth and everything, going back and forth. I did think when I heard there was almost very little security there, that seems like those kind of events should have had maybe extra security, because there was potential for, these kids are going to be disagreeing with you. So I would think they'd be on alert for that. It seemed like they weren't, but I was amazed at how big a deal the right made out of this, especially at the beginning. They made a martyr out of Charlie Kirk. And
right from the beginning, yeah.
And from the beginning. And I think they really exaggerated it beyond, to me, because I kept thinking, wow, they're making this is like a presidential assassination according to them. And maybe he would have been president. I don't know, one day. He was certainly very young, but that's what
I think that's part of the cover up, Don. That's where the cover up started. Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
pushed that left-right narrative. Yep.
They did, because the left got caught, maybe not, saying some not so nice things about M3, which the right has, they do it on each, depending on who it is. They're not respectful of somebody that dies on the other side, so they always get called out for it, but the other side does it too, so but in this case, Charlie Kirk, lots of people clearly didn't like him, and then it became this really big deal. And then we saw, I think, the first thing that made a lot of people question, even beyond, and that's when I heard about it. I didn't think that much of it, because I didn't know that he was that big of a deal, that they would have a big conspiracy to kill him. But once I saw that memorial service Erica is what really drew it to me, coming out with the fireworks and the way she was, and I thought, wow, what is this? I mean, don't you think that contributed to a lot of the doubts that this doesn't look right?
Well, and forgiving the killer when you have no idea who it is. Like, you're just going to blindly forgive a random person.
Yeah.
You haven't even grieved yet, and you're just going to start throwing out forgiveness. Granted, that's what Jesus would want, but shouldn't you know who you're forgiving?
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, if you're going to forgive somebody, you should probably have, a name, a face,
and they're so unforgiving towards Candace, especially, who they've really personalized this with her. I go on X and I see these guys, Blake Neff and Andrew Colbert and all these people. Every one of their tweets is about her. Every one about how this Candace is losing support, and she's awful, and she's a demon, and all this stuff. It's like
it's a huge.
And they claim, it really they claim she's obsessed with them. Now she is, in terms of, but she's trying again. Would any of us know who Blake Neff or Andrew Colbert? We don't know who any of these people are. Candace Owens made us aware of them.
Yes.
We had no idea who they were. But she's called. Well, I mean, why isn't Andrew Colbert? Why hasn't he been called on the carpet for that ridiculous story that apparently he made up about the surgeon saying that there was a magical bullet that was stopped by Charlie's neck of steel? We now know no surgeon said that. So why isn't it in a real trial? Again, let's see what happens. But
why don't we put the surgeon up on the stand? Like, can we hear from him?
And then bring Andrew Colbert up and say, why did you make the story?
Why does Lance have immunity? We need to have him up. Where is Lance? Is he here? Like, is he gone? Like, where is Lance? And that's some of the questions that I have. And also regarding UVU, there's questionable things about that as well.
Yeah.
And I found, with help of other people, there was weapons on campus, right? But there was a bill that was just put out on August, I think it's August 17th, 138 bill to open carry weapons, rifles, loaded, when it wasn't like that on campus. It was concealed. You can carry concealed, and it has to be in your locker. They made a bill, and it was, here we go, from the July to September timeline. Why are we putting a bill out to have an open weapon? You can carry it on campus loaded. And like it just made me think, because in the documents and the court filings, they're saying that, Tyler also put children in danger. Well, everybody carried a weapon that day. There were so many people.
They
took it out and they're running with it. They took it out and they're running with it. That wasn't allowed before. And I was trying to tell people, like, well, rifles are allowed. I go, not on campus. They changed it in August.
Well, so when it came to the UVU's policy on open carrying guns, there was no actual policy written that it was okay or not. But with the Second Amendment rights, it was just sort of grazed over. Like people, you turn a blind eye, not a big deal, right? But for some reason, they decided a couple months before this happened that they needed to make a hard, concrete law about open carry and firearms on that campus.
A month before he's there.
And that just seems a bit weird. So it's like, okay, they made sure that now your handguns, you can open carry, no problem. But what they decided to add in was rifles. And that's what Ali was talking a little bit about, is that after that, you are now allowed to open carry a rifle. So this is what makes even no sense. So that law just got passed. So why was
why was children there?
Well, they're just coming to see a speaker. But the weird thing is with that being legal, then why did Tyler have something stuffed down his pant leg, allegedly? Right?
He didn't need
more dramatic.
He didn't need to even do it. It was legal that he could have just swung it over his shoulder. In fact, you could have had a whole row of people up on the top balcony, 500 of them, all with rifles, and it was completely legal.
We already debunked that there was no rifle down his pants. It's an actual phone.
I want to go back to Candace Owens for just a minute, because two things as a playing devil's advocate here. Two things that I wonder about. One is, why hasn't the defense team contacted her, or has she volunteered to? Because to me, she's the preeminent expert on this case. I think this has done the most investigation. And also, what about this debate that Andrew Wilson, this obnoxious character, keeps offering money to? Has she commented on that or what? Because she seems to want to debate. Those two things I wonder about, because I think that would be great to see her debate these people. What are your thoughts on those two things?
What was the first question?
About has she offered her services to the defense as an expert witness, or had they tried to contact her? Or are they not interested?
Offered, but they won't allow any of that.
Well, what we do know 100% as a fact is that the defense attorney Nestor said, while she was cross-examining somebody, and she mentioned, "Are you aware that there is more theories out there than him just being shot?" And the answer was yes. So that doesn't say how the defense counsel became aware of these things, but the fact is, what the investigations we are doing did reach the defense, because that was brought up in the preliminary hearing week. I forgot which day, but it was brought up by the Nestor. I forgot what her first name. So that means the work is getting to them, but I'm pretty sure Catherine Nestor, yes. But I'd like to say this, like if say any of the podcasting world, like Baron Candace or Stu Peters or anybody, right, were to be called to testify, they would not be revealing that at the preliminary hearing. They would not be revealing.
Thank you, Dog Nose. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it was. I just. What about the debate? To me, it seems like because I see on X all the time. Why are you chicking out? Why don't you comment? I mean, why wouldn't she? I mean, I know that guy's really obnoxious and he shouts
Yep.
over people, but she clearly has a lot more knowledge on this subject. To me, I think that would be must see TV. I
Candace
don't
would
know.
wipe the floor with Andrew Wilson. I had a
Yeah.
debate with him the other night in an X space, and he's
Muppet, you
got
get
nothing.
around. Muppet's incredible. He gets all these. Tell us about that.
He just came into a X space and started shooting his mouth off, and yeah, and ended up just I had a bit of a back and forth with him, and he's got nothing. He argues semantics, and once he runs out of those, he'll just go to personal attacks, and he's not a very good debater.
Well, Muppet, I don't know if Peter, I don't know if you know a lot of the personalities in this case, but Blake Neff was one of the TP. Does he work for TPUSA? Their Charlie
works
Kirk
for the
show.
Charlie
Kirk show.
Yeah,
But he
but
acts
he's
like he works for the Charlie Kirk show, but he says he knows nothing about TPUSA. But he's commenting every day on X about TPUSA.
And he's at every TPUSA
Antonius Block
event.
is saying he gets a sense I don't watch. I watch Candace just about every night. I do. I'm just I appreciate she's my must see podcast at this point. So I think she's doing great work. But again, I just have those questions. But what was I going to ask before that? I got distracted by that. But in terms of Andrew,
Mr. Blake,
I don't know
you were
what
talking about. You were talking
Blake
about
Neff. That was
Blake
it.
Neff.
Yes, because Muppet Masher, he got into a great exchange with, and we played it on the last podcast we're on. It was very cool with Blake Neff, and just made him look foolish.
I was
He
there
made
too.
him look like
I was there too.
Yeah,
I asked him a question too.
Yeah. Oh, you were there. What did he say to you? I didn't get you. We should have played your exchange.
I'll send it to you. I asked him because when Candace went on vacation, she released the emergency SUV pictures. And Muppet can verify this with me. I was in X, and then I saw this guy. He's posting all these pictures, and I went to go look at it further. And I asked another friend of mine, "What is this? Is this it? Is this the one she posted, or is this like fake?" Because it had the license plate. So Candace only posted a couple, and then went on vacation. So the guy that posted those pictures, he posted all of it. And so then I quickly went to go get those pictures, and I did a live stream on it. And it was Mike, and he came on to my live stream, Mike V. And he lives in Utah, and he's a barber. And his client works at the auction where they took Charlie's vehicle, the SUV. And it was a mind-blowing live stream I had. I couldn't believe he came on to talk about it. And then so all that happened, and then the Blake Neff was in Louisiana's space. So I went in there and I asked Blake Neff, "Where is the SUV?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know." "Why? You mean the one that
he didn't know where he was that day. He couldn't remember. Somewhere. I don't know.
You mean he goes, "You mean the one that Charlie was in?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to." And then he goes, "I don't know." I said, it's been auctioned." He goes, "Well, that's what I heard." So he's not denying it. It's been auctioned.
The odd thing that I found is furthering that questioning, he was then asked, who is driving the SUV that Charlie was in to the event? Because we haven't been able to identify that security guard yet. Ali, Muppet, and I were really close, but it ended up just not being him.
I asked that too.
But the thing is like, how do you not know who's driving your boss? And then he was asked who was in the car with him. And I think Muppet can even attest to this. He didn't even know what he said. He didn't even know who was in the car with him.
He didn't even know who was sitting next to him.
Well, what the heck is that?
I don't know. Why should I remember that?
And then Muppet corners him after he can't even answer those simple questions. Then Muppet grills him a bit and then just makes him look foolish. It's like he couldn't answer anything that was important. He couldn't remember where he was, who he was with, who was in the car with him, where he stayed that night, and how he got to the event. That is absolutely ridiculous. It's preposterous.
Well, and there's so many parallels between this and the JFK assassination. Peter can relate to this, but in terms of, they mentioned the SUV auctioned off, very quickly after what happened. It was very important piece of evidence, auctioned off. much like the presidential limousine was wiped clean of evidence and then shipped back to Washington, the windshield replaced. Lots of parallels there in terms of
like the Twin Towers. Just send it all to China before anyone looks at the steel.
Everything. Oklahoma City, Sandy Hook, everything. They cart these crime scenes away. Peter, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, there's a topic that sort of floats in and out of things here that I wanted to acknowledge, and that is anger is an emotion that humans often use consciously or unconsciously to escape grieving and fear. And one of the things I notice also is that people have this propensity to get personal with people and talk about personal attributes, etc., because A, it's more akin to anger, and B, it takes people off topic. And if truth was radioactive and you start getting close to truth and your Geiger counter is buzzing like crazy, the best way to get away from the truth is to take that thing away and put it close to somebody's face and get personal with somebody. The anger energy and the emotion gets stronger, but the ability to deal with the facts is difficult. So when I hear talk about humans as opposed to the evidence they put forth, I like to lean back and look at their evidence and see what's provable, because being personal is very unproductive unless it's revealing ties, attributes, and loyalties which are relevant to the case.
But don't you, Pete? Don't you?
Agree, Peter?
What I find,
I completely agree.
Yeah, and what I find potentially exciting about this is our first chance, most Americans' first chance. If now, let's assuming I'm certainly it's going to go to trial. I can't imagine they're not going to let it go to trial, but if it does, let's hope it's all televised again. And this is going to be in live time what we didn't see with all the other show trials. When Oswald didn't get one, James R. Ray, Sirhan Sirhan, Timothy McVeigh, Boston Bomber, the surviving one, people like that, Batman Aurora, all these people, we didn't see that. And I'm sure the people's eyes would have been open if they had seen them. But here, people's eyes have already been open. They're already questioning, why didn't the defense cross-examine some? In a real trial, they'll be questioning that nonstop. So I hope they do, and especially if they should want to have, experts. They should have at least one expert from all you guys that are doing such great work. If not Candace Owens, Baron Coleman, or somebody that clearly knows more than other people do about it, why wouldn't they want to utilize that? So if they don't do that, I'm a little suspect of it. I'm already, because if this guy gets a good defense, it'll be the first high-profile defense in these cases, going back to the Lindbergh baby kidnapping with Richard Hauptmann, who got Death House Riley, horrible attorney that was just, and that's what these people get. And the Boston bombing, the surviving Sarnoff brother got a woman who was supposedly a high-profile attorney, and in her opening statement said, "Your Honor, my client did it." Like, what? So it's like
waiting for trial. I think the defense is waiting. They don't want to put all their eggs in one basket right now.
No, and you definitely wouldn't want to tilt your hand too much when there's going to be such a long distance before they're seen again, because all you're going to do is give them time to prep to debunk you in advance. So I don't know why you'd want to do that. However, I do feel like they could have pushed back a little bit more on certain things, but I guess the reason why they didn't is because they knew there was no way in heck, no matter what they said, proving he was in another country, that it wasn't going to go to trial.
Yeah.
And if that's the position the defense was approaching the prelims from, then I understand what they did. It makes a lot of sense to me if that's the mindset that they were in.
And they're going by that one video of him, running off the roof, jumping off, which is so blurry and so grainy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Have you ever seen anybody jump from a height even half that high and rebound to their feet as quickly as he did?
He would have a black eye, Peter. He would have some scratch on his face. And remember, Tyler Robinson didn't have any. You have that mugshot of him in the tactical, like he was wearing the vest. His face is just like he came from heaven. So there is no marks on his face. He's holding on by his left arm, and then just something magically appears in his right, and then he jumps down. I don't see it. I don't see Tyler Robinson doing that jump.
So what Allie's basically referring to about the marks in the face, I'll add some context to that. So what we did is we went over that smoking gun evidence that they have
Yeah.
about him running over, and we noticed some inconsistencies with it. And what she's saying about the marks on the face is because if you slow down him landing on the ground and play it in slow-mo, it looks like his face cracks off his knees.
Yeah.
So
His knees go right in his face.
that's why she's talking about no marks on his face, because when you zoom down to it, it looks like he didn't land very well,
He was limping.
and his face almost looks like it cracks right off his legs, and then he sort of shoots up and limps away
And
very weirdly.
And then
So-
when they find Tyler Robinson, he's not limping. He comes into the room. We still don't see Tyler Robinson's face. We haven't heard his voice. It's just everything is so. Even the redaction of Lance's testimony or his.
Well,
his testimony.
there's so many things like that, and Tyler Robinson's family. Are they gonna, are they gonna come out and tell because if they do, this will be the first family, Peter, that I know of in any of these cases. Most of the time they roll over and they're like Seth Rich's family. Well, they'll sue you if you insinuate. They almost sued Sean Hannity the only time he ever did journalism in his career. He had a show about it and he almost lost his job. But and Sandy Hook parents who question these things, which again sets an awful precedent. Where you can't question these things. Somebody in the chat compared the Sandy Hook parents to TPUSA. There's a little validity there because they have kind of threatened lawsuits, and there's how dare you say that? I mean, we have the right to Peter, in the JFK assassination, David Lifton talked about fake trees on the grassy knoll originally, and people have come up with all kinds of crazy possibilities there. You can't just say, okay, well that's your right to do that. We don't have to listen to you, and they're doing that because you didn't even attempt to solve the crime. Did somebody put something here that they want me to put up on screen?
That was my question.
I don't have a problem with that. And then I think from that point, he has.
Okay, can we
Can
play
I ask
that?
a question, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Where is the SUV? Do you know where it is?
The SUV that Charlie was in?
That would be the one I'm referring to, yes.
I have no idea. I don't even know.
Why not?
They probably rented it.
But it was auctioned off, correct?
I've heard people talk about that. It's possible. I have no idea.
When you got out of the car, what was the string that you were holding?
Charlotte. Sorry. So I talked to the person who gave the pictures to Candace. His name is Mike. So the employee that was cleaning said it was auctioned. It came from California to Utah, back to California. Is that correct? Or
I
you
have
don't
no
know?
idea. I didn't book the car.
She's not on the security team.
So you don't. Okay, I'm just asking a question.
Diligent, just come in. I'm sorry,
I'm
Allie.
just asking a question.
No, you're
to
good.
see if he knows, because it's a part of the crime scene. So
He just said he doesn't.
Okay, so I'm just asking. Is that okay?
I mean, probably, because generally what you'll find with things that are involved in a crime scene, especially something large, is the police officers will photograph it, they will document it, and then once they've done that, you don't need to keep the entire SUV in cold storage for 3 years.
Yes, you do.
That's what you do.
Yes,
So what
you
about
do.
what about Erica's necklace or Charlie's necklace? How did that?
No idea. I suspect they didn't feel any need to keep that necklace because the theory that it was used as an exploding microphone or whatever, or an exploding necklace, I will be frank, is really stupid.
No one believes that actually, literally, but it is one of the most significant gaps in the case, and I'm posing this to everybody, is the chemical composition of the necklace. Is it silver or is it stainless steel? And that does matter. Yeah, call me crazy.
Hey, Tara, can I jump in here?
Have you ever been advised by a physician to seek treatment for delusions or other
Blake,
That's off
I have
base.
a question. Do you know
Why
why
are you here?
or if the FBI ever examined Charlie Kirk's phone, or did it go straight to Erica?
I can't speak to that.
You can't speak to that? Why? I really seriously doubt that you don't know the answer to that question.
I don't own Charlie's phone. I did not assess it for the FBI.
But if it didn't, would you think that was a problem?
Let's not dogpile him.
What does actually know? What would them assessing
The first thing they do in a homicide case is take the victim's phone and the suspect's phone. It's the very first thing they do to see if there had been prior threats or prior engagement between the two.
Well,
right? This is standard operating
I don't
procedure.
know.
So why would Erica Kirk have his phone and not the FBI when there's a murder case involved?
Why would she have
Especially when there were
his phone?
especially when there were credible threats against his life in the weeks leading up to his assassination.
Well, perhaps that they searched Tyler Robinson's phone and didn't find anything. I don't know. It's not my job.
That wasn't
Can I jump
even
in
a
here, Tara?
question. That wasn't even a
Yeah,
question, guys.
that's pretty
Doesn't
much
make-
it. You
just
can
jump in.
if you want to listen to the whole thing, I think it's like 10 minutes long, but that was my question.
And that was
Oh, that was
also
great. Yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, what did you think of that, Peter?
I'm sorry. What did I think about what specifically? There was
Well,
a
we
lot
just
there.
heard the entire question, because I mean this guy Blake Neff, again, who's a big shot. You know, he's one of the main spokesmen, you know, for the new TPUSA, even though he doesn't technically work for them. He's clearly they can't send him out to do another Spaces, right? There's no way. I mean, he was so overmatched.
He's still doing them. He's still doing them.
he did. He did, like, what was it? Muppet, how many has it been now? Has it been 4 or 5?
Yeah, he's done a few now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he getting any better?
But he's getting in with Gary Melton from Paramount Tactical, and he's using him as a shield, and they're just getting softball speakers up there.
Yeah, 100%. 100% to what Muppet said. That's exactly what's going down. So after that very first one, even though Gary was there, he got questioned really hard. And ever since then, to exactly what Muppet's saying, he's got Gary blocking for him. And even
So they're
Tyler
straight
Boyer,
again.
and even Tyler Boyer popped into a space. But then again, it was at the very, very end, and Gary was there running interference. Like, I will say this, I have talked to Gary a couple times in DM, and we've always had like a decent back and forth that's been respectful.
Yeah, I think he just unblocked me.
Yeah, and we might actually go check out one of his space tonight, because he's going to have a space. So we may.
Yeah, so check it out, Don.
We
Is
may
he running
hop
that
in.
tonight, is he?
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Because I talked to him yesterday.
I'll be there.
Muppet. Yeah, we'll be there too. I talked to him yesterday and asked him if he could unblock Allie, and he said no problem. And then he asked me why, and I said, well, we would like to attend your spaces so we can better understand your opinion of the assassination.
Good way to
And
say
he
it.
said-
Yeah.
And he just said no problem. It was just, polite and simple. No problem. We might have one tonight. If not, it'll go tomorrow. And then he DM'd me back saying, I'm canceling it for tonight. It's going to be tomorrow.
And
so civil conversation, completely
if you-
civil, right?
Don, if you look in my video section, I posted all the X spaces. Tyler Boyer was in one with Blake Neff and Gary Melton. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
Allie's been
you
trying to
think-
post a bunch of them on her YouTube channel, and I think Muppet on his YouTube channel has his clip as well.
Yeah.
So feel free to check.
Yeah, I think
out
I did
both
put it up there.
channels. I think you did. So if you're someone who doesn't have X, but you want to know what's being said in these conversations, you can go to Muppet's site and get Muppet's clip, and then you can go to Allie's and get the other clips as well. If you don't have X and you want to keep up with what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, you guys have those are two between what Muppet Masher did and what you did, Allie. That's fantastic. Dog's Nose, thank you again. What I usually do with the second half of the show, I'm going to put the link to the studio in the chat here. So there's a link there coming up under my name and Tony Arterburns. Anybody wants to jump in, you want to join the discussion, you have questions for any of our esteemed panel members, or just comments or whatever, just click on the link and you can jump in. You can be on video if you want. We can see you, or you don't have to. You can be on audio. So I don't know. Anybody have any comments right now before we wait for them?
Yeah, I would like to say that I feel I'm a little bit unusual in that I'm looking at future generations and looking at the impact on our species with what's going on here. And all too many people look at this as entertainment, and macabre as it may be. And I think the more people that get involved and the more shiny objects that people focus on, the more distracted we are from getting down to the basic end game, which is to find out what the truth is. I would really like to see some photo identification work being done on who were the observers at Utah Valley University. Just like in Dealey Plaza, that place was salted with all kinds of different people who were there just to watch the big show. And I just don't know how deep they've gone to find out how big this thing was, who was there to participate. And I'm afraid we're going to see a false flag event coming up the minute the temperature gets too hot, and then a sufficient number of people will be distracted, and this will all fade away as a tongue clucking.
Well
Yeah.
said, Peter.
Well
I
said.
completely agree with that. Well said, sir.
Thank you.
I
Absolutely.
completely agree. Like, we even saw some of this during the preliminary hearing. There was a lot that went on that week that completely we got missed. Like, once that was done, Allie and I started looking back. Okay, what else happened that week? Because we went live every single day. We went live for like 50 hours
Yeah,
that week.
that was a lot.
And what Trump did is, it was part of the Voting Regulation Commission. I don't remember the exact thing, but he just gutted the rest of it and fired the remaining board members. And there's like midterms coming up. And now I think, I could be wrong, but the people who were in charge of ethical organization of ballot counting are now gone. That does not exist anymore. And we saw the bill that just got passed, the NDAA, and now
Yep.
we have these votes coming up in a few months.
Yeah.
And now there's no commission that's going to be supposedly.
Chris, for some
ethically
reason your mic, Allie's mic is fine, Chris, but when you talk, you're kind of breaking up. I don't know. Is everybody else noticing that too?
Is this a little better? Is this a little better? Check one, check two.
It's good. It's good.
That's better.
Yep,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. What was I saying?
Well, how about the militaries are joining now? The bill that just passed.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Incredible.
It's horrific.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
I was
That
I was
is
an
horrific.
officer. I was
Treason.
an officer in the United States Naval Reserve, and I, as well as pretty much every federal official and many state officials, swear to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm willing to bet that 80% of people in Congress couldn't answer basic questions about the foundational document that they swear to defend and protect. And a standing army wasn't even in view at the time the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence were created. And now we're talking about combining foreign military with a huge standing army, which is largely controlled by an invisible alphabet agency. It's all insane. The one good thing about getting older is you're not afraid of what's on the other side. As Woody Allen says, I'm not afraid of dying. I just hope I'm not there when it happens. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'm in this for future generations. I don't look to become famous, and I'm certainly not going to make any money off of this.
Well, like I think I've noticed again the the same people that are going crazy against Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, calling everybody the woke Reich and all that kind of stuff. They love this, and they're claiming this is fake news, that they really didn't combine the military. I don't know. They try to explain it in some kind of way where it makes sense. It's just more of the same stuff where people. And why, this is a larger question. I thought, again, I've been investigating all these kinds of things my entire life, going down these rabbit holes. No one used to talk publicly about this kind of stuff, in terms of, Candace Owens uses the term ZOG, Zionist Occupied Government. That used to be forbidden. Nobody but the farthest right people ever uttered it. She says it. Now she jokes fellow Goyim. Tucker Carlson says, why does Israel have a right to exist? I mean, things that only the most extremists used to say. It's mainstream now, and you're seeing such hostility to Zionism in the public. The Democratic Party, I never thought I'd see the day when the Democratic Party, at least they were my old party, but they're the voice of reason now, at least on this issue. What do you guys make? Why, and of course the black pill people, which are most of my people, and they think I'm incredibly naive. I already saw one of them in there say, I can't believe you like Candace. They don't believe that I say anything good about Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson or anybody, because everybody's, and maybe they are. I don't know, but I just react to what they say. But why, these people would say, why are we being allowed to discuss it? They want us to discuss this for some reason. Are they trying to lure us out into the open? Yeah.
Don, this filters back to our recently late great friend, John Barber.
Yes.
He once told me, Peter, of course there's freedom of speech in the United States until your audience gets large enough.
Oh, that's an
and
interesting point.
That's where Candace Owens is on thin ice, and Tucker Carlson and a few people. If you've got listeners, you've got potential thinkers, and then they can possibly take action.
Oh,
But
yeah,
otherwise, it's just like a chihuahua barking at the LA Lakers. No threat.
exactly. All these
Now,
people in the chat room, nobody wants to jump in.
It has to go through
No, the bill still's got to go through the Senate.
to the Senate.
So
Okay.
there's one more kick at the can. But that's
why we got to keep talking about
that's
it.
exactly why we got to keep talking about it. Like one of our co-creators, Kevin is a human. He was covering this the last little while, and he did an emergency live because he didn't see enough people talking about it. And one of his community members was also one of our community members, and we decided to do an emergency live on it. And what we made sure we did is we posted the link for all Americans to be able to reach out to their representatives. So you can call them, you can email them, and you can tell them what you feel about it. And the fact that this still has to go through the Senate, there's only so much you can do, but at least use your voice. At least contact your local representatives and go, I don't like this. I'm not happy about this. Please vote no.
A lot of people in the chat are saying our vote doesn't even matter.
Well, it doesn't matter if you don't use it. Like if you sit there and do nothing and then complain about what happened, then you were complicit into what happened. You didn't have the balls to use your voice. Use your voice.
Oh, okay. I do. I'm sorry. Somebody is here. Jesse Shaw. I'm sorry. I got a message from chat. I didn't. It didn't give me a message that you came into the stage. How you doing, Jesse?
How's the audio? Can you hear me?
Just fine.
All right. Well, great work you guys have been doing on the Charlie Kirk case. I'm very interested, obviously, in the Charlie Kirk case, but I'm also interested in another case, and I wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. I don't know if you guys have heard much about the Idaho 4 case.
Not me.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, Candace was threatening to focus on it and start doing shows on it before Charlie was, dispatched of. Obviously, her priorities changed, but she's interested in it. Obviously, she doesn't have the time or energy to focus on it anymore. But the reason I bring it up is because there's parallels. Utah, Idaho, there's fairly close proximity, sort of similar communities, religious communities, obscure laws that a lot of people speculate the reason that this happened in Utah is because of the laws and the Mormon community.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a quadruple homicide in Idaho involving college students. And the story is, there's a patsy involved in that story, quite similar to Tyler Robinson. There's an outrageous narrative that makes no sense. And I belong to a community on YouTube that discusses this on the regular, like you guys are discussing the Charlie Kirk case. And I've tried to implore the people from that community to realize the parallels, because the FBI is involved, the government's involved, the power base, the elites are involved, allegedly. It's the same people, the same bad actors. In fact, it's the same community. A lot of them, and I won't mention names, but I'm sure you guys are aware that there's people working with TPUSA, YouTubers, firearms experts with triangle-shaped logos, lawyers that are teaming up with them. A lot of the people that were covering this case that I'm talking about, the Idaho 4 case, have pivoted, and they were carrying water for the mainstream media and the government narrative in that case, and they've gone on to carry water for the TPUSA narrative in this case. In a very blatantly, they had got to be getting paid. In my opinion, allegedly. But
Jesse, somebody in the chat said if you have a link to your community that discusses this, drop it in the chat. Whatever your link is to your group.
I actually cover sports. I do sports shows, and the people I work for probably don't want to be involved in my bad habit of true crime. But you can find me discussing true crime at the True Crime Cafe with Dago. I could drop a link to that in the chat.
Yeah,
It's
just drop the link.
Not my channel.
Okay, yeah, wherever it's being discussed. But what do you guys? Anybody know much about the? Somebody in the chat said Baron Coleman talked about it on his show once. Do you all know anything about this?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I've heard a little bit about that. I was like also going to do a show on the actual girl that in Utah. I was going to do that one. So many people want me to do that one. The girl that died in Utah, the runner. You know, is her name Lauren? There's so many cases people want me to help.
Yeah,
with,
there's so
and
I've
I've helped
cases
with
out
like the Amy Bradley case behind the scenes. Thought I actually found her in Barbados, but it wasn't her. Her name was actually Amy, and she was doing karaoke, but it wasn't her. And unfortunately, that person died. So, yeah, I like to find missing people, evidence, murders. I like to do all that kind of stuff. So send me anything you have regarding that. I can probably help. I like to help. So,
are your DMs open on Twitter?
yes. I don't know if they are.
Yes, they are.
They are? Okay. He would know. What's your ex name?
At Jesse Schul, my name as it's spelled there. Again, I don't do any of this stuff. I think the company I work for might be controlled by some of the people that you guys have been talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get fired, but occasionally somebody mentioned entertainment. For me, it's not entertainment, it's education, curiosity. We want to know and learn and understand what's going on around us, I think.
I just sent you a message. I just sent you a message on X.
Don't you guys think that because again, I looked into a lot of these cases, and whatever it almost is. I think the reason the JFK assassination, all these other cases that are high profile, I get the sense that this is how it happens in almost every homicide case where the police mess up. They don't do their job. It just doesn't come under scrutiny. But every time I've looked at any of these cases, I thought, well, they got it wrong. I mean, it's not, it's something. I mean, if you look at John Benet Ramsey or something like that, or Madeleine McCann, things like that, where the answers seem obvious
and connected to the traffic lights, and cruise ships are a big thing.
Cruise ships, the guy that
open international waters, and I'm telling you. That Amy Bradley case, it was just completely.
What was the guy, George Brown, or whatever his guy's name was, that was killed on his honeymoon on the cruise ship?
That one,
that was, and I thought, you know what?
And
weird. Because it looked to me like his bride was involved in some way, or behavior was bizarre, but nothing. I mean, I don't. It's like do they ever get it right? That's why I have sympathy for everybody in prison that says they didn't do it, because I'm kind of thinking the odds are maybe you didn't, because people are framed for so many things. It's when you look into these things. So I don't know what other cases you're talking about, Jesse, but there's a lot of interesting ones out there that are, I'm not sure.
Well, I followed the Karen Reed case involving the police officer. I'm sure Ali must be aware of the Karen Reed case. I did mention in the chat when Blake Neff was saying, they're not supposed to just take the SUV. Well, I guess they took the SUV in the Karen Reed case for years. And that one was another one, blatant police corruption. But I think one of the things that I find draws a parallel between Charlie Kirk and Idaho 4 is just the way the mainstream media covers it, and the way that you can, if you're paying attention, you can see that paid actors, I mean, there's bots and there's people that are paid on X. There's, like I said, and some of them are the very same people. There's one I don't want to mention too many people's names, and I'm sure you guys don't want me to be dropping names, but there's one that I feel comfortable dropping, and that's Gray Hughes. Are you guys familiar with Gray Hughes?
Yes.
Yeah, don't stop me on Gray.
So he's in bed with Paramount, and I'm sure you guys know Paramount, but he's got a story about just going to Utah and walking down the street, and somebody sort of waves him into their house and offers him the security video of, their personal security video, which shows Tyler Robinson walking with a limp, and it's kind of a fantastical story. Just you want to investigate the case, so you fly to Utah, you start walking down a neighborhood, and the neighbors call you over and offer. They're not giving this to the police, the FBI, the mainstream media. They're giving it to some YouTuber that just shows up there. I don't believe it. And this Gray Hughes guy is one of the ones I'm mentioning that covers the Idaho 4 religiously as well, with a very strict mandate of what he's trying to put out there and the narrative that he's trying to push. And I think we can. I don't know if you guys are willing to say
Gray Hughes had the federal narrative and the Fed slop script right in front of him right from the start.
Well, I'm sure he's on the payroll. And yeah. I'm sure that Paramount's on the payroll. I mean, I think it's as obvious as it gets that Paramount is on the payroll. I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but I mean, he basically flip-flopped after about 2 weeks.
He blocked me.
Oh, you're unblocked now. You're unblocked now.
For now. For now. Yeah.
One more tidbit: Paramount's logo is his exact logo appears in the Delphi murder case. For there's some suspects involved in that murder case that were Odinists, and there was some prison guards that had a logo on their uniform, and it was a violation of the law. They were forced to take it off. It was a big deal in this high-profile case.
Well, I don't know how many of you guys. Anybody here remember the Tommy Burkett case? And it was my neck of the woods. It was Northern Virginia, but and they had it. Unsolved Mysteries that was one of my favorite shows when it was on. They used to do a really good job. Yeah, they used to cover a lot of these cases. They covered the boys on the tracks. That was part of the Clinton body count. We didn't know until later, but they covered the case of a kid in my area that was a college student that died. Clearly looked like he was murdered, and the police insisted, as they do so often, that he killed himself. And of course, families, I understand, naturally don't want to believe that. But in this case, it certainly looked like. And so I contacted the family, and I don't know but I just was interested in the case. And clearly, again, this is my police department, Fairfax County, and they're all of these police departments are so corrupt. Even something like, it didn't seem that significant. Apparently, he was a low level on college campus working for the DEA undercover or something. And I think that's why he was killed. But still, they went into cover-up mode. They clearly, they didn't invent. They just said, no, he killed himself. They got the parents all upset. Both of the parents started an organization, and I forget what it was called, but it was basically, they started a quilt about people all over the country that had experienced this kind of corruption from police and investigate. It was a great idea. And they both died within a couple of years. I communicated with both of them, and they weren't old at all. They didn't have any other kids. So now nobody can hold the mantle. The website's offline and everything. But I wonder how many other people go through that. And I don't know what you guys think of that. It's not always the high profile cases, but
the Las Vegas shooting, there was several people involved. That were witnesses of that.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. There's no question. I need to do a show about that. I know a lot of people that, there's so much there. And they wonder why people continue to think that these things don't happen, that they're fake, crisis actors and all that. Because if you look at this case, if you look at that blonde, I forget her name, but the student that was interviewed, Candace Owens played video, but I can't find it anywhere online. They scrubbed it, as they do. She cannot stop smiling. He's just been shot, and she looks happy as can be. That's not normal. And you see it.
Sarah Jewell is her name.
Yeah,
Sarah Jewell. That's it. Yeah. And but she's and not only she gets it wrong too. He wasn't shot in the chest, but that's what Candace was focusing on. So she did finally mention her smiling, but that's what I noticed.
And her family works the dispatch in Utah.
I thought the lady that had a whole bunch of kids that weren't even her kids, I thought that was extremely suspect. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one, but they
that's Angie Martin.
She had like a half a dozen kids that weren't hers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is
Phil Lyman's friend.
Just
what about?
There's a lot of J6s involved with eyewitnesses and the key players from the Charlie Kirk murder.
Yeah,
a lot of actors too. I feel like when something like that happens, do you just go, and and then just like, no, you run. You get the heck out of there. I've never seen anything like that in my life, and it just looked scripted. And obviously Hunter Kozak, his dad's the producer of the Jimmy Kimmel show, and it was just everything. And he was doing this before.
Speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, you mentioned Jimmy Kimmel. I notice these things. They get sent down what I call the American memory hole. Title one of my books. Jimmy Kimmel on Unsolved Mysteries. I remember in reruns watching it, and I never saw the episode. But they at the end of it, they promo the next episode coming up next week, and they showed. I think they called him Jim Kimmel or James Kimmel, and it was clearly him as a young guy that he had mysteriously disappeared or something. And I thought,
oh,
what is this? I never. And if you look into that, you can find nothing about that. But I know I saw it. I mean, it's the thing when you
can't find anything about Rick Cutler. But I found stuff, and I just feel like, should I actually share it? Will my life be in danger? I don't know.
Well, hopefully not. But I mean, the fact that we have to think our lives could be in danger just for telling the truth. What does it tell you?
This is where it's come to, Don. Like, I've gotten threats. I'm pretty sure Muppets had a couple things going on his side. Like, we are all researching, we're all putting stuff out there. But as soon as we do, we get doxxed, we get harassed. And what do we do as people? Do we just stop? Or we know
it comes with the territory.
Yeah. When it happens, I feel like, okay, well, you're going to push me to do it even more so now. That's just me. I'm like, okay, I must be getting somewhere. If you're doing that, if I'm getting attacked for something like I'm saying the truth, I'm just going to keep going.
Catherine mentions Johnny Gosh. I wrote about the entire thing, the Franklin credit scandal. These again, kids were killed there. A girl was sent to prison for a long time for accusing these powerful people of trafficking them. Look at the Epstein files. The Epstein files and this is where Trump took such a dark turn about a year ago or whatever. I was a Trump agnostic, to use John Barber's term that he originally made up, and I borrowed it from because he pretty much developed TDS later. But I was still being an agnostic. But then he suddenly lashed out at people wanting to saying the Epstein files was a hoax and stuff. And there's clearly. I published 3 series of articles thanks to Peter Seekai, a great researcher. He's like you, Allie. He works in the background. He does a great job on finding things that nobody else finds. And just those things are just what has been released are blockbuster. I mean, there's so many
I feel like Amy Bradley was connected to that. I found something, and then all of a sudden, poof, it was off of the Department of website for the files. You were there, babe. You were a witness to that because I was looking it up. And the island that she was on, apparently her pictures and stuff. Sorry, because this is what I was doing before I got into the Charlie Kirk. I want to find Amy Bradley very badly because I feel like she was traffic lighted. So,
what Allie's actually referring to is that we were actually, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the application that Ian Carroll launched called Web. What he's done with that application is he has put all the Epstein documents into this so that people can organize it and search it in a very thorough and easy way. So what Allie did is she started looking for Amy within the files, and her name did come up. That's what sort of really freaked her out. And we
the island where she was taken to and where she was seen by the taxi driver, that island. It was Kadashi Island or something like that.
No, I believe it was either Barbados or Curacao, and the exact location that she's referring to is Kadishi Cliffs.
Yeah, Kadishi Cliffs.
So we noticed that in the files, and we're like, wow, we're going to be doing a part 2 of our first episode. We're going to be doing that, and this is very crucial information. And we wanted to get it to Amy's brother, Brad. So we were like, okay, we left it. And then a week went by. We went back into Web to go to look that up. It was gone.
It was gone. And I'm just like, I didn't even take a screenshot of that. I'm like, where did it go? Where did it go? Yeah, I don't know.
Peter wanted to say something. I want to give him a chance here. Go ahead, Peter.
Sure. I don't like going off topic, so I'll just say I believe this is related. I went shopping for some garden stuff and got talking about the JFK assassination with the owner of the store. And he referred me to a book which popped my emotional circuit breaker, which means that I have this paradigm. And if something gets a little bit too challenging to what I believe, a little circuit breaker pops and I say, oh, I can't be bothered, or that's bullshit or
Mhm.
whatever. But he referred me to a book called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon.
Oh, Dave McCowan, of course, sure, no, very
David
well.
McGowan, which deals with dozens of intelligence connections
Yes,
between
yep.
celebrities in the canyon. And then recently I saw something about the house that Gene Hackman lived in.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And there is just so much stuff that's off the radar.
Oh, yeah, if
that-
you read my book on borrowed fame, I went into all and I was very heavily influenced by Dave McGowan, who I had just started to communicate with. A lot of people have compared me to him online, which is very flattering to me. He was a great guy. He's still, if you're on the fence about the moon flight hoax, read Wagging the Moon Doggy. He took there that will convince anybody that I mean, he was brilliant, and he got galloping cancer. I mean, like Jack Ruby style, and he died on November 22nd. Put an exclamation point on it. So,
and the terrible thing about not paying attention to your emotional circuit breaker, it gets you into those kind of COVID jab relationships with family where you're just looked at like you're an outcast, and it can be very damaging. There's a lot of courage that's involved in the work that we do, simply acquiring the knowledge and then finding ways to relate it to people that doesn't challenge their foundational paradigms. It's really a challenge, and I don't know what's on the other side of my last heartbeat, but I just have to laugh at what's going on here because I only have so much control, and it ain't much.
You have to laugh. We have to try to find some humor in it. I think that's, and Dave. I mean, I try to. If people read my Substack, and you should subscribe to me. New audience out there, Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. I protest. I try to write with humor, and Dave did as well. I mean, thank you, Truth Folly. It's important because we have to laugh at this. We take it seriously. I mean, this is so dark when you start talking about the Epstein files, which it seems everything. I think it's pretty obvious that these people are cannibals. I mean,
Just
I don't
so
know what
you
else
know
they're
that
talking about.
my short form is ATF. It's not the bad one, but it's ATF, Alley Top Files. That's probably what he's saying. ATF.
Oh, okay.
You believe you'll find Mike Miller and Daisy Phelps.
Do you know what that means? I don't know.
He's a huge supporter. So I gotta head off soon. So in about like 5 minutes.
Okay.
But,
we'll say whatever you guys want to, in the 5 minutes, because we still have 15 minutes after that. So go ahead.
Man, I don't know. I just feel like we just got to keep talking about what's going on, especially with the past bill, and we got to keep talking about that because that is important.
Yeah, I think
that is huge.
It needs to be spread to as many people as possible so they can be educated on what's inside that and why certain people want it to be passed. And we do need to get people to speaking out to the local representatives. It's really important. And we just want to encourage everybody to do that. Do some research for yourself. Look up what the bill is. Look what's inside it, right? Reach out to your local representatives, whether it's email, text, however you can do it.
Yeah.
We just really encourage that. And don't feel like it doesn't matter or that you can't change anything or your voice doesn't have the ability to be heard, because it does. We're proof of that right now. Like, we're all talking, we're sharing information, and we're going to take this information and try to apply it. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you, Don, for having me on, and nice to meet you, Peter. We hope we can do this again when.
Nice to meet you, Peter.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. Same here.
And Muppet, I really appreciate the platform.
Well, I want to do some more with Steve Cameron and others. We'll have some more discussions. Especially when the trial gets closer, because if we can kind of analyze it in live time, in real time, because again, we didn't have the chance to do that with a lot of these things. Assuming they televise it, they don't televise it, it's game over. It could be the same stuff as always, but they televise the preliminary hearing. They should televise the trial.
I think so.
But I appreciate you coming on, Allie.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Don.
And give out any links or anything you want to promote.
I'm just Alley Top Files everywhere. I'm Alley Top Files on X, Alley Top Files YouTube, Alley Top Files.
Follow Allie. She does good work.
Yeah.
You do,
so do you, Muppet.
Do.
And so does Muppet. I noticed one comment in the chat, people wanting to know where to find Muppet Space and the other X spaces. We mentioned this earlier. Muppet has his posted on his YouTube, his questioning with Blake Neff. and Ali has been posting more of the full links of all of those conversations on her page.
Yeah.
So
but give out if you guys, before you go, drop it in the chat if you want your link, or just mention it.
Right now.
Yeah, drop it in, and Muppet, drop yours in the chat too. Make sure you don't want you guys to be able to promote anything you can. So thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it, Ali and Chris.
Thank you,
we'll
sir.
definitely have you back on again. We'll discuss some more of
Yeah,
this.
and I'm sorry I missed the other one. I would love to come back on with Steve and all the rest of the gang.
Sure.
We're just
Steve knows everybody in this. I was surprised there was that many of you. I said, okay, cool. This is like the JFK assassination research community was in the beginning. So it's great.
He's on X doing incredible work. Incredible stuff.
He's been doing
Steve and I
really
go way
good
back.
stuff. Steve,
yes, he is.
Steve is able to find the inconsistency with the Challenger, and that was huge because him finding that inconsistency with the Challenger, that led Project Constitution to actually finding a second Challenger.
Yes.
The exact same, and the differences are like the exhaust, the grill. Like there's a lot of things which can be identified. So Steve broke that open, and that was great work to Steve. Hats off to Steve, and shout out to Steve.
Yeah. And the missing, and then like what we found, the missing the timestamp of Tyler coming into
walking down the stairs.
There's a minute 16 missing.
Cut out.
And
gone.
Baron
Like
shouted us out for that. There's a minute 16 missing. He has a phone in his hand. He has a phone in his pocket. Then it's all of a sudden there's a white SUV just disappears out of nowhere. So there's a minute 16 missing. And where did it go from that footage? Why is it missing?
Yeah.
Things like that.
There's a lot of discrepancies in their timeline.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we need this army looking into it. So don't think that you find something that might not be relevant. You have no idea if that's relevant to somebody else's investigation on the other side of the world who's looking into this. So, keep your notes and everything, and don't discount any small little bit of information. It's just what I can sort of help people recommend, because we found things that we thought were dead ends, and like Muppet can attest to this. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, it clicks, and it's the perfect piece of the puzzle that we were missing, and we would not have known that if we didn't save that information and then go back 2 months to find that information again.
Yeah.
It's really crucial to do that. You never know what's going to matter in the future.
Yeah.
I'll stop rambling.
The last 3 X spaces that we've done, we've been breaking down their timeline that they put as the official one. And it's boring, tedious work, scrolling back through videos. There's a guy on X called Hayden Wood who's done some amazing analysis on it. And we have many, many discrepancies. We can just about prove that the guy jumping off the roof is handed and the guy they have in court is right-handed. So there's, Hayden Wood has done hours and hours and hours of just dedicated work on this. So, we've done a few spaces just recently that breaks it all down. So it's very interesting. I hope the defense is looking at it because there's a lot of ammunition that they could use there.
Defense should call you guys. That's for sure. You both did fantastic job on those spaces. I'm looking forward to getting into some of those and watching you at work, or share if you have any more exchanges by miss them. Share them with me because I'd love to hear it, because you guys they don't know how to handle and now they may know who you are by now and block you or not let you talk. That would be my guess what they will do, but who knows.
Just got to be polite and just ask the question, because we're just trying to get the information. We want the truth, right? So we just want to have that open dialogue. And so when I start to speak, then there's other people come in and go, he didn't say that, and it's just hey guys, I'm asking a question.
The spaces can be a little bit chaotic with people trying to talk over each other sometimes.
Oh yeah, they are. That's what I found. I used to do that a long time ago. Yeah,
it is what it is. Like I was trying to get in there and ask a question on a couple spaces, and I could never do it.
Yeah.
And
especially
I'm not
big ones like that. There's a lot of people. It's really hard to get their attention. You got so many people with their hand raised and everything. You have to wait.
Yeah, and I'm not going to scream over someone just to be heard. So.
But thank you so much. We got to go, and I appreciate this platform. Thank you, Peter. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Ali and Chris.
See you, Ali. See you, Chris.
Have you come back? Appreciate
see you on
you.
X, Muppet. Thank you,
Keep up the
Don.
good
Yep.
work. And
See
follow
you
me
on
on
the.
X. Allie, I followed you. You need to
I
follow me
just
back.
followed you now. I just followed
Oh,
you.
fantastic. Okay.
Did we need to run through supers quickly before we bounce out? I believe there was a few in there for you, Allie.
I don't know. I can't play them. Only he can. I think there was some Keats, Renee.
Yeah, it looks like there's a bunch in there.
Yeah, there was a bunch. I don't know what they were giving jewels or giving memberships for you. I don't know. I think it looked like several people.
I'll just read some of them out here instead of bringing
Keats?
them up.
Yeah.
So I'll just stop at the bottom. Mommy and Belle donated 750 jewels, and the message was, "Let them cook." Thank you very much, Mommy and
We
Belle.
already read that one.
Yet we did read that one by Truth Foley. This is from Keats, gifted 5 Alley Top Files memberships. Thank you very much,
Thank you, Keats. He's watching.
Thank you very much, sir.
Another Australian.
Yep, and a great supporter of a lot of channels. He's everywhere, always supporting people. Thank you so much, Keats. This is from Renee Loves Pink, 1999. Thank you for the super chat, Renee. Thank you, podcasters, for your hard work. I have shared this to a few podcasters, and a story here. My friend's dad was 76, convicted for murder as a patsy in Scottsdale, Arizona. Netflix will eventually air a documentary called The Patsy.
Wow.
Wow,
Renee. I didn't.
Wow.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Thank you for
And
sharing
I think
that
this is
for
the
us.
last one.
Yeah, okay. And this one is Jules. Before 20 gifted 5 Alley Top Files memberships.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Jules. We appreciate you, and thank you to our chat for coming out and watching the show and spending some time with Muppet, Peter, and Don, and Jesse.
Thanks for being here. Come back sometime. I love having you guys here.
Always.
Thanks, Allie. Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you so much. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Prices
Keep up
King.
the good work. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Okay, so we have doing some great work there. Obviously, bringing some great people to the chat. Love to see you here. Bronx says, my producer says Australia isn't real. That's true. The RVs makes fun of that Australia doesn't exist. We're just laughing at it.
We heard that before.
Yeah. I know.
Where the mystery land.
Exactly. And I've got lots of flat earthers come in here too. So I don't know what they think. They don't think you're hanging by the bottom of the feet, though. I don't think on a globe. I'm pretty sure they don't think that. So anyhow, so Peter, what are your thoughts on at this point, everything we've talked about?
It's good to be in contact with people that think broadly and who have the courage to ask questions and talk with other people. The big challenge, I believe, is I think the solution is not going to be something big and huge from the top. I think the concept of the idea whose time has come is generated by when we talk in such a fashion with other people such that they are willing to open their minds and ask questions themselves, trying to teach people or lead people or force people to believe in certain ways. It just irritates them. And my wife used to have a sticker on the refrigerator: never try to teach a pig to dance. It's a waste of time and it irritates the pig. So
that's yeah.
I like that.
Muppet, I wanted to just ask you briefly. I know of people who years and years ago left the United States and went to Oz because they felt that it wouldn't end up in the kind of government domination, deep inspection kind of a thing that Australia and New Zealand, the subjects of the crown, seem to be influenced with. And I'm seeing that so much of what, quote unquote, Donald Trump is doing right now is a torpedo shot at the British financial domination in the world. I don't want to get too global here, but you're right down in Australia where you've got wonderful people and government mechanisms that don't give the people the same kind of freedoms and alternatives that we seem to have here in the United States. How do you feel about that? Is that too big of a question? You get what I'm
No,
saying?
no, not at all. No, I understand where you're coming from. We were sold a lie for a long time as being the lucky country. And yeah, sort of we were sold that we were sort of immune to the authoritarian style government that a lot of countries were suffering under. And then we became one of the worst authoritarian governments pretty much overnight. As soon as the mystery virus from China popped up. And our government just overuse of their power and abuse their powers. And we've been suffering from that pretty much ever since. And now we're the same. They just do what they want. We can't seem to vote our way out of it anymore because it's just two wings of the same vulture. And and now we do have this Zionist infiltration as well, which has happened to our government, and the Jewish lobbies are the ones who have all the power, even though they only make up like 0.2% of our population. They get the lion's share of everything. So we're very much the same. We suffer the same inflictions.
You've also been affected by migration, I'm sure, right? And maybe not to the degree.
Absolutely.
And because we see this, and that's why it was so disturbing, this case that happened with the blonde woman that called the little Somalian immigrant kid who was stealing something from her purse, by the way. And somebody said today that he had an ankle bracelet on him. He's a little, I don't know if that's true, but you know, that's
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But he was still something from her purse. So yeah, okay, she said something she shouldn't have said. But how was she prosecuted? What was the criminal statute? I mean, I don't understand. If you call somebody fat, if you call somebody ugly, if you call somebody a jerk, if you call somebody an idiot, I mean, how far are we going to take this? It's such a terrible. And she got community service, but the fact we cluttered up the courts with this, it sets a terrible precedent. I don't
play by their rules. I sort of play on the edge of their rules. But I'm very anti-authoritarian. So
we don't have to say that word. Obviously, there's no reason, and to tell you the truth, that word didn't have any attractiveness to me. But at some point, when you try to make something forbidden enough, you want to say it just because you're telling me I can't say it. And I think maybe they run the risk of doing that. And it's so stupid. No word should be illegal. That's crazy, or illegal for some people. But but all the extra people in the chat and watching, I want to thank you guys for being here. Please, before you leave, like and subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel, like it, and come back. But so we still have a few minutes. But so Muppet, what do you see shaking out? I mean, you guys all, I guess you watch Candace Owens too. What do you see happening? I'm sure you're going to try to challenge these people in the spaces again if you can. But I sense that all they can do is call names. They really don't have anything other than you saw with the conversation you had and the conversation Allie had. They have nothing to stand on. All they can do is say, I don't remember. I don't know. Why should I remember that? I mean, they would be terrible witnesses in a trial. Imagine Blake Neff on the stand. I don't know.
And I think that might be part of the reason why they're putting themselves out in public. So they taint themselves as a witness, and they're unlikely to be called as a witness now because of all these public interviews that they've done. I think it might be a tactic to avoid the witness stand. But as far as I know, most of them should be under a gag order because they were witnesses on the day. And that gag order is quite extensive. So, and I'm pretty sure it does include witnesses that are going to be called. So unless they're not going to call them, which I'd be very surprised, everyone in close proximity, I think, should be called as a witness. Everyone in the SUV, I think, should be called as a witness. But yeah, that's just me, and I'm not in Utah. So
if the defense does their job, they, and again, I don't think they will, but if they did, they could make mincemeat of Andrew Colbert. I mean, you call Colbert up there as a hostile witness and say, what about this surgeon that you said, because they came up with this, really colorful fairy tale story that, they said his neck Superman was neck. Yeah, Superman neck. So that came from somewhere. The surgeon said he didn't say it. Yeah, exactly. So why would you make that up?
Just made it up.
Yeah, I mean that's how he can't survive that. Why would you make
But
that
they
up?
seem to be they seem to be immune. They seem to be able to make these tragic mistakes and the most blatant, obvious flips and flops, and they just seem to double down on it. And they move on, and the news cycle moves on, and everyone forgets about it, and they're still there with their propaganda machine. So I've got the same thing with Gary Melton at the moment. I was the same thing. He had me blocked for months because I asked him to try and recreate it with a 30-06.
What is Gary Milton's? Does he have a connection to TPUSA, or what exactly? What's
Yes, he's the guy. He's the guy who put out Erica's alibi photos with supposedly her and the kids.
Oh, that's
and
right. Yeah.
Andrew Colbert
doesn't show her or something, or doesn't show the kids.
Yeah. Andrew Colbert sent them to him directly at that time, in that moment. So he's obviously connected with Andrew Colbert, and that was a publicity sort of thing that went really horribly wrong. But you have to be involved with TPUSA to be getting text messages from Andrew Colbert saying this is Erica's alibi. So the thought that he's not involved, I think, is you have to be pretty naive.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts, Peter? As we wind down here.
My mind's been flashing all over the place. It's just bewildering. I'm sorry, but I may take us off topic, but
that's what we do here all the time, Peter.
Okay. So I was stunned at what happened in Australia, but I've been fly fishing a number of times in New Zealand, and I love the country. How does Jacinda Ardern become a dame in the British government? And why don't more people have any idea what the World Economic Forum is all about? Can you help me understand that?
Muppet?
Yeah, I think it's just through lack of education. You just mentioned the World Economic Forum, and the president of UVU, Astrid Trumanez, she was part of that as well. And she's just resigned since Charlie's murder. But yeah, going back to Jacinta, I think she just played along with the globalist plan with the mystery virus from China. And they did exactly the same thing. They locked down their whole country and forced them all to wear masks. And I think it was a reward for that they made her a dame. So.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, she's not hot enough to get Justin Trudeau. Katy Perry did.
Yeah. I just think when you look at the way Australia's gone in terms of the tyranny. And lockdown, just stepping up this nonsense, but visiting people's homes for the internet. Now we're seeing it in England; they do it as well there, and we're seeing it in America too. They've had videos out there of people coming. This is obviously, and I don't have any confidence that enough Americans will stop it. That lady that was convicted of whatever it was, that's such a terrible precedent. But we're so conditioned. Well, she shouldn't have said that. There's people every day say things they shouldn't have said. You can't, but you can't prosecute that. That completely destroys the First Amendment. I don't know why people don't see that, but we're going to lose it. We've already lost a lot of it. But if it gets to the point where you can be prosecuted for saying something, that's just terrible because it sets the precedent for other things you can't question. That's why the Alex Jones show trials were so bad, because now you can't about Sandy Hook. Because now, what else can't you question?
Well, that's your ultimate right, isn't it? If you lose your right to free speech, then you might as well just be you're a slave to everything.
That's what distinguishes America. You guys don't have a Bill of Rights. We have the Bill of Rights. No. It's unique, but most Americans probably don't want it. I don't think they support it. But it's astonishing what an incredible thing that is to have, and we're going to lose it. We've already lost a lot of it. And people, it just amazes me. They have emotion to get in the way. Well, I don't like that. Well, yet the whole point of free speech is you defend what you don't like even more. That's what being a civil libertarian means. That's the whole purpose.
Exactly.
Everybody agrees with speech they like. Oh yeah, right on.
Hate speech is not speech you hate.
Exactly. Hate speech is thought crime.
Yeah.
Call it what it is. It's thought crime. That's exactly what it is. But at any rate, we're almost winding down. Go ahead.
When we were kids. when we were kids, Don, there was two phrases that worked around all of this uncomfortable speech arguments, and that is, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me,
Yeah,
on
sticks and
you.
stones. Yeah.
Sticks and stones
Yeah.
will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Today,
Yeah.
that's, completely thrown out, and it's like,
Yeah.
you hurt my feelings.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And you
At the
can't,
moment, you can't
do
be
that.
on. If you have a thin skin, you can't be on X. You make one post
No.
and you cop 15 hate comments and you'd go cry in the corner.
Yeah, you
That's
just have
not.
to. Yeah, people are ridiculous. They
It's
say all
like a
kinds of
duck.
crazy things.
Yeah, it's like water off a duck's back to me. I don't care what people say. So.
I think it's hilarious, but we're just about out of time. Muppet, any closing thoughts and anything you need to promote?
No, we're just plugging away at the evidence, picking away at it, and pulling threads. We're still identifying people that we've been looking for 10 months, and finally figuring out who they are. So there's still work to be done. We're still going.
Well,
When I was in Australia a couple times, I used to hear them talking about tall poppy. So
Tall poppy syndrome. Yeah.
yeah. So do you put a disguise on and so you look like a sunflower? How do you get away with what you do?
I try and stay a little bit anonymous. Some people know who I am.
Spaces, there's no video, so that helps too if you're doing that there.
Yeah. I got nothing. I got nothing to hide, but at the moment, it's best if I stay anonymous. I got people trying to dox me, so.
Well, you're doing great work. We're all looking forward to more of it. Peter, any closing thoughts and anything you want to promote?
No, it's just life is a beautiful experience, and it gets richer when I have a chance to confer with intelligent people who think. I'm honored to be here, and I look for and hope to be with you again.
I hope so too. I want to thank both of you for coming on. Obviously, Allie too. Thank for Jesse. He jumped off the screen before I knew it. So thanks for coming on and sharing your thoughts. So thanks to everybody in the chat room. Remember, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel as you go out. My Substack is I Protest, just like the name of this podcast, Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. Please subscribe to me there. You can check out my thoughts. I'm a noted thought criminal, so you'll be able to read my rantings and ravings there. So, again, thanks everybody for listening. And
Thank you, Don. Appreciate the time.
We'll definitely do this again. Thanks. Take care. Well, thanks for listening to I Protest. Talk to you next time.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Thanks.